not my guns, takes my check till I ain't got none, except for the good Lord up above. I answer to no
my right to tote the weapon of my choice. Don't censor my voice. Hate me if you won't, or love me if you can. If the truth is what you want, then you found your man. I ain't backing down.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I love you, honey. You know, I was born 5 years after the end of a global war that killed more than 60 million people. I'm the son of a veteran of that war who flew 35 missions over war-torn Europe as a tail gunner on a B-17. When Dad returned home, he married Mom. They started a life together. They were tenant farmers. They were raised during a time of great hardship and had little expectation beyond living in peace, putting a roof over our heads and putting food on our table. Home was a place called Paint Creek. Too small to be called a town, but it was the center of my universe. For years we had an outhouse. Mom bathed us on the back porch in a number 2 wash tub. She also hand sewed my clothes till I went off to college. I attended Paint Creek Rural School, grades 1 through 12, played 6-man football, was a member of the Boy Scout Troop 48, became an Eagle Scout. I went off to Texas A&M, where I was a member of the Corps of Cadets. I got my degree in animal science. I was proud to wear the uniform of our country as an Air Force officer and aircraft commander. After serving, I returned home. I returned home to those rolling plains and that big old sky of West Texas, and I returned to farming. You know, there is no person on earth more optimistic than a dry land cotton farmer. We always know that a good rain is just around the corner, no matter how long you've been waiting. The values learned on my family's cotton farm are timeless. The dignity of work, the integrity of your word, responsibility to community, the unbreakable bonds of family, and duty to country. These are enduring values, not the product of some idyllic past, but a touchstone of American life in our small towns, in our largest cities, in our booming suburbs. I've seen American life. I've seen it from the red dirt of a West Texas cotton field, from a campus in College Station, Texas, from the elevated view of a C-130 cockpit, and from the governor's office of the Texas Capitol. See, I had the great privilege to serve a rural community in the Texas legislature, and I led the world's 12th largest economy. I know that America has experienced great change, but what it means to be an American has never changed. We are the only nation in the world founded on the power of an idea that all that all are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Our rights come from God, not from government. Our people are not the subjects of government, but instead, government is subject to the people. It has always been the case that there's been this social compact between one generation of Americans and the next to pass along an inheritance of a stronger country full of greater promise and possibility. And that social compact, it has been protected at great sacrifice. It was never more clear to me than when I took my father to the American cemetery that overlooks the bluffs at Omaha Beach. On that peaceful, windswept setting, there lies 9,000 graves, including 45 pairs of brothers, 33 of whom are buried side by side, a father and a son, 2 sons of a president. They all traded their future for ours in a final act of loving sacrifice. In that American cemetery, it is no accident that each headstone faces west. West over the Atlantic, towards the nation they defended, the nation they loved, the nation they would never come home to. It struck me as I stood in the midst of those heroes that they look upon us in silent judgment, and that we must ask ourselves, are we worthy of their sacrifice? The truth is, we're at the end of an era of failed leadership. We have been led by a divider who has sliced and diced the electorate, pitting American against American for political purposes. 6 years into this so-called recovery, and I might add our economy is barely growing. This winter, it actually got smaller. Our economic slowdown is not inevitable. It just happens to be the direct result of bad economic policy. The President's tax and regulatory policies have slammed the door shut of opportunity for the average American who's trying to climb the economic ladder, resigning the middle class to stagnant wages, to personal debt, to deferred dreams. Weakness at home has led to weakness abroad. The world has descended into a chaos of this president's own making. While his White House loyalists, they construct an alternative universe where ISIS is contained, that Ramadi is merely a setback, where the nature of the enemy can't be acknowledged for fear of causing offense, where the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism, the Islamic Republic of Iran, can be trusted to live up to a nuclear agreement. No decision has done more harm than the President's withdrawal of American troops from Iraq. Let no one be mistaken. Leaders of both parties have made grave mistakes in Iraq. But in January of 2009, when Barack Obama became commander-in-chief, Iraq had been largely pacified. America had won the war, but our president failed to secure the peace. How callous it seems now, as cities once secured with American blood are now being taken by America's enemies, all because of a campaign slogan. I saw during Vietnam a war where politicians didn't keep faith with the sacrifices and courage of America's fighting men and women, where men were ordered into combat without the full support of their civilian commanders. To see it happen again, 40 years later, because of political gamesmanship and dishonesty, is a national disgrace. But, my friends, we are a resilient country. You think about who we are. We've been through a civil war. We've been through 2 world wars. We've been through a Great Depression. We even made it through Jimmy Carter. We will make it through the Obama years. We will do this. You know, the fundamental nature of this country is our people never stay knocked down. We get back up. We dust ourselves off. We move forward. And you know what? We will do it again. I want to share some important truths with my fellow Americans today, starting with this truth. We don't have to settle for a world in chaos and an America that it shrinks from its responsibilities. We don't have to apologize for American exceptionalism or Western values. We don't have to accept slow growth that leaves behind the middle class, that leaves millions of Americans out of work. We don't have to settle for crumbling bureaucracies that target taxpayers and harm our veterans. We don't have to resign ourselves to debt, decay, and slow growth. We have the power to make things new again, to project America's strength again, and to get our economy going again. And that is exactly why today I am running for the presidency of the United States of America. Thank you. It's time. It's time. It's time to create real jobs, to raise wages, to create opportunity for all, to give every citizen a stake in this country, to restore hope, real hope to forgotten Americans. You know, there are millions of middle-class families who have just given up hope of getting ahead. Millions of workers out there who have given up hope of finding a job. And yeah, it's time for a reset. Time to reset the relationship between government and citizen. You think of the arrogance of Washington, D.C., representing itself as some beacon of wisdom, with policies that are smothering this vast land with no regard to what makes each state and community unique. That's just wrong. We need to return power to the states and freedom to the individual. Today, our citizens and entrepreneurs